failing our athletes, annoying the refs, and living proof that there's no such thing as a stupid question. Unless we're the ones asking it. From game highlights, to hot takes, to totally unqualified opinions. We're bringing the BS Booster style!
Welcome to episode...
Shall we start over?
No, we're going to go with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should.
139 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast. Sorry, I told Alan and Cody on the way to breakfast this morning, I did not prep my voice for game day, and I'm squeaking a little bit. So, too much yelling yesterday or something, so it's just not where it needs to be. So you hear me squeak, it's not puberty,
You need a throat lozenge.
You need to rub the head of the eagle.
Is that what it is? It seemed to work for the kids last night.
Hey guys, we are starting a new tradition. We love it. Mark has discovered this beautiful seagull eagle.
Seagull eagle.
It looks a little too pretty on the top side, but it's really cool. Set it up by the entrance to the stadium. Kids all come by. Everybody rub the head. Lee, we got to give him props for the double head rub, and he was going after it there. He got a lot of good mojo.
Shampooing.
Yeah, that's what it was like. He was giving it a shampoo and condition all in one. You know, he was giving it, and he was giggling the whole time he was doing it. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, new tradition.
See if we can't continue that on. We'll get a good base made for the thing.
Coach signed off on it. It was awesome.
That's good.
We're here to discuss Allen's 46-13 win over Midland Legacy.
What do you call that stuff you put on wood that you want to finish? Shellac. Yeah, there you go. It was a whooping.
It was not what we were told it was going to be by the one and only Chris Cumnock last week, and so we'll have a call Chris and say, hey, what's going on? So what does he know about high school football anyways?
He's a pro guy.
We had Steve DeWitt doing
Chain gang.
And I think he gave us a few extra yards a couple times too.
Whatever. Put here, put there.
Well, he wasn't doing the down marker, was he?
No,
he was on the chains, not the down marker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 5 minutes here before we got to call Coach Wig. He is actually on his way to Lubbock. He's going to the Texas Tech game. Obviously, Hayden.
Get your guns up.
Hayden's last year up there.
Hayden Clayton.
They're headed up to that, so he'll be in the car, and we'll go from there. The 139th game in the history of Allen Eagle football. Remember last week we did.
You messed up last week.
Yeah, but I got it figured out now.
Why do we have to be so critical? Can't we just be positive?
We are who we are.
Can't we all just get along?
No. People want us to be more critical.
Yeah,
we've heard that rumor. Seen it written in print. Last year, if you remember, they lost in the second round of the playoffs in 1973 to Frisco, 17-6. That was 138.
Freaking Frisco.
They opened the season against guess who?
Rowlett?
Plano.
Frisco.
The Fighting Raccoons.
1974 season opener, Frisco. Your Eagles fall to 0-1. They lose 2-0.
Oh God!
That was their only team in Frisco. Now they have 14. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So anytime somebody says, "Hey, what about the good old days?"
They have their own league.
Yeah.
The FFL.
Yeah, they can actually have two districts with all the Frisco schools.
So they lose 2-0.
Ouch.
When was the last time you saw a 2-0 game outside of baseball?
I wouldn't have. I would have left the stadium.
You would have left.
I don't know. It just reminds me of that Plano East 22-18 game where we had a safety and all that stuff, and poor Plano East.
Oh, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
139th victory. History of Allen Eagle football, 1986. The week before, they got their 138th win against West Mesquite. Next week, they follow up playing Dallas Hillcrest.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Still in existence.
Yeah, it's not the Park Cities, but it's
They go
close.
to 4-0 on the season with a 21-18 victory. So there you go, history buffs. You are now caught up to speed, good to go. All right, so why don't we just talk real quick about the Guinness Book of World Records?
Yeah.
That Chris was talking about last week. And let's be critical for a minute. I need 30 seconds of silence.
No kidding.
And who are the Nimrods making noise?
The student section.
Well, no. Let's back up. The first time we were the Nimrods making
The
noise.
Midland
Midland League fans.
Yeah.
Cowbell and everything over there. You're like,
Bunch of
seriously?
jerks.
Yeah. And so
Hillbillies.
they did the first one. It was loud. He said, okay, we need 30 seconds of silence.
For the second try.
Then it was the student section. The thing that got me out of all of it, and I don't know if y'all watched the video board, was about half the girls on the front row in the student section were giggling. They weren't even screaming. They were just like seeing themselves on the video board. It was like, you're there to set a record. Why are you not participating in this? Because it could have been louder.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, if they don't make it, then we know who to blame.
Well, Chris seems to think they made it.
Yeah, well, he said, it looks like we did set a record, but we got to send it in to Guinness and let them evaluate it and make sure everything's okay.
But I'm like, holy moly.
We did.
It could have been even more.
Yeah.
You know those girls can scream.
Uh,
I just saw a little hula hoop guy. Where'd that come from?
that came from my car. That's ode to McKenna. I'll carry that with me.
Okay.
It's a Hawaii
He
thing.
said.
It's an ashtray.
Oh.
Oh, we do have, if y'all can see these little guys right here.
Thanks to Whitland, our Whitland buddy
Put him
Thad.
down.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, that's him.
No.
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 I don't remember who's in. This is Cody.
That looks more like our announcer.
Did you have to say that?
I'm the second
That's
one.
me, he said.
Yeah, it's got that goofy grin.
I don't know who's who.
They ease me. I'm not
That's
smiling.
you. That's Dave.
I'm not smiling. So I'm needing to
Dave never smiles.
be. Okay, cool. Well, our buddy Thad whittled all these little guys that you see, and so we have the little BEBC wooden characters. You need a wooden character, go see Thad.
Yeah.
He'll get it dialed up for you.
Make a nice Christmas present.
Yeah. Or you could just actually make an ornament out of it if you want.
Something to put on your fence to shoot at.
Jeez. I don't think Dad would appreciate him doing all that work for you to go shoot it.
You need to wrestle your legs off.
Yeah, Cody, you got a little short legs compared to everybody else. Little squatty body.
Wow,
I
that's
can't see
funny.
that. That's pretty funny compared to everybody else. I mean, just
Yeah.
like the guy next to you, you can see the difference there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so world record, I think we got it. Chris thinks we got it. We'll see you here in a couple days. We'll tell you next week on the podcast what the results were. I think it's time.
It's time. Oop, where'd our little stand go for him?
No, we'll put it on the football.
Oh, it's on that one. See if he answers. He is traveling.
No.
Hello.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Watch out for that car in front of you.
Tractor.
Now, we did let everybody know you were driving, so we hope you're either hands-free or your lovely wife is at the wheel this morning, so I don't know which it is.
Yeah, she's actually at the wheel right now.
Fantastic.
Awesome. We'll say our prayers.
Hi, Mom.
Tell Mrs. Coach we said hello when you get a chance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we will do that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on a good opening night, and we, you always go into the season, and we'll ask you this question in a minute, but we always go into the season, it's like, okay, things are going to change. What's it going to be like? And you really, you kind of develop an expectation, but you really don't know. So,
Yeah.
based upon what you were thinking, how did it go according to what you were expecting last night?
Great question, because I would agree with that. Completely always go in like that. And for me, in 32 years of doing it, I had more questions coming into this than I've ever had. And they stem from from the offensive side of the ball, when you have two kids you're going to play quarterback, and one of them you've known for a month and one of them for about 5 months, you just kind of wonder, what are you about? How much have they learned of the offense? How comfortable are they going to be? What are they going to do when the lights come on? And that coupled with, a lot of questions on the offensive line of new bodies and how the pieces are going to come together there and how you're going to perform there, which, to me is, if you're going to say there's two positions that you'd kind of like to go in and say we feel really good and comfortable of these two, it would be those two, and this is probably of all the years the most questions I've had surrounding those two. So with that being said, going in, I think that I was incredibly pleased with the overall performance based on the expectations coming in. As in any game, there are certain things that you're incredibly frustrated with, but that's going to be any and every game we play. I think for our first game of the year, I think that there are a lot of good things that if you could write a script you would want to have happen. You'd want to see adversity. You'd want to see how a team's going to respond to adversity. You'd want to see you'd want to see some frustration, frustrating things happen in the flow of the game, and see how coaches are going to adapt, see how kids are going to adapt, and then just see how you handle. You hope their successes, see how they handle those. And I think we got to see all that. Again, just overall, I was incredibly pleased with the performance. Coach Hartman from Midland Legacy feels really good about this team. He said afterwards, he said, we'll see you in the third round. He feels he's a lot better than last year, and I do too. And so I think that was a good opening game win against what's going to be a certain playoff football team.
You mentioned adversity there, and I guess it really kind of started from the opening kickoff because you were expecting to be on offense, and then you had the quick change of the onside kick, and immediately, like you say, not only for the players but the coaches have to be prepared for that.
Some things that you write a script, and that was something we had written in. We had that was a design. We didn't tell the kids, but it was designed for them to recover the onside, just see how we were going to handle, and with defense, not be prepared to go out there and get out there. So, not many people realize that, but that was an intentional giveaway onside kick.
I knew you were lying to me in the locker room last night. Because that's not what you said.
No, that was not a glamorous start, but a great follow-up by the defense to force a quick 3 and out.
That's great.
And then a really good answer to the offense, by the offense after that.
Yeah. We'll get back to the offense in a minute, but I do want to talk about your defense. And again, we follow, y'all, I know you're busy and you're coaching and that, but we follow stats as the game goes on. And up until their last drive of the first half, they had 6 yards and no first downs.
Yeah, that's pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
And we know what we have. We have a lot of guys coming back defensively, and felt that when we're healthy, that team, that side of the ball has a chance to do some good things. And it was good to see, the guys out there. They're while we felt really good, there's still a couple of question marks on that side. So it was good to see when they're all out there performing well, and just kind of when you say meeting the expectations, I would say that would be a case of that. That on the defensive side, we met the expectations that we had kind of felt that we would be able to play with all year.
Yeah, I think we all were really confident about the defense and their capability, but we did see enough mistakes and areas for cleanup. I guess what are kind of the top things that you're looking for them to improve from week to week?
Well, I mean, on the defensive side, they're still. Of course, it's the first game of the year. How much live tackling do you get? Leading up to a football game, and there's a missed tackle here or there, but I think that's very much to be expected. So that's something that's a heavy focal point of us. We'll continue to improve. We certainly hope week to week. But what you again, early in the season, communication and just really being in the right spot at the right time and fitting together are our keys. And I thought for the most part we did that. And and the things that weren't great, again, when you talk those numbers, it's hard to be picky, but they'll be cleaned up. Certainly that's a prideful group. Defensive players that have played a lot of snaps, and they'll just continue to improve along the way.
We'll switch back to the offense, and you mentioned earlier the quarterbacks, and when you look at their stats, from last night, it was, JD started the game, and just I was gonna look, but I got busy this morning. I don't know when his first incomplete pass happened, but it was way down the list there. But they go 29 of 36 for 377, and we discussed it last night and today with very little what we consider chancy throws, nothing about to be picked. It was just on target, and they get both of them. Those kids get the ball out so quick.
Yeah, I agree. They both worked so hard. They really have. It's just a fun team, to be honest. Just from all the way around. But those two guys, you can point at the way they show up daily, and you would have, if you solely watched them practice, you would have expected that, because their demeanor every day is the exact same. Their approach to the business day is the exact same. Their preparation is on point. They're so determined to when something's not right, they're gonna get it fixed immediately. They're two really good kids who are very, very talented football players as well. But again, when you solely base it off their preparation and practice, you're not even the least bit surprised. When you base it off that the one's a freshman and that both have been here very little time and been around these teammates, been around this system and that, then pretty shocked with their performance. But again, they know that there's that they've to do the things that we're hoping and needing to do. They know there's a lot of work and a lot of things that we were struggling with, and they've really worked hard to continue to get that improved. And I thought, like you said, I thought we were on point most passes. I thought their reads, their progressions, their footwork, their timing was good most of the time, and the results were really good.
Well, yeah, when considering both of their first passes of the games went for touchdowns, that's pretty good coaching right there.
Yeah. They were, again, that was a great start by JD, kind of again to set the tone for the season offensively, and then when Ty went in, that was a really special throw by him on that play as well. So yeah, really proud of both of them.
Well, Coach, let me ask you a question about sequencing and stuff. Is there an intention to say do a couple series with JD and then get Ty in for like every third or something like that, or are you just doing it as performance goes when you can get it in?
No, really, not even if you, and I know y'all do watch the game, but if you really last night watched all, there was across the board offensively a lot of rotating going on, and it's very, very intentional. We a couple of things. Number one, we want to keep competition a real thing, not just something we talk about, So for us, we believe that when people feel they're in competition, then they're always going to be on their toes. They're always striving to get better. I think when they feel like the race is over, they can relax, and we want them everyone to realize that there is legitimate competition at each and every position. And at the same point, we know that the chances of going through a long football season at any level without having a little injury here or there is just not realistic. So creating depth is important. So if you have a team and you have a lot of kids that have come back and a lot of backups that play meaningful snaps, then you might not need to do that. But when you have a lot of new faces, both vying for starting positions, but also who potentially could be your key backups, then I think that you would be silly not to get them meaningful reps in meaningful moments, rather than you get into a huge district ball game and the first time they go out when it matters is the third quarter of a game. I think that would be really poor coaching on my part.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch. Again, like you said, there's a lot of new faces, and we're Coach McCray blesses us with a ever-changing roster. But just
5 minutes.
Just to see the new names and the kids that step up, and you're like, well, where was this kid last year? And he was behind some other good kids. So it's cool to see new names step up. But we've got to say we're thankful and we're happy for this kid that Jet was able to be back on the field last night and have such a big impact on the game.
Yeah, yes, both of those, right? You talk about a kid that really has gone through some tough times in his high school career, going back to freshman year, making the varsity as a freshman at Allen, and then a freak situation causes him to miss the year, then you come back and you're battling along your sophomore year, starting to get your footing, and then when the playoffs came, really was, bare minimum, a huge piece of a playoff run, and then really coming off that season into the off season, had an unreal off season through 7-on-7, and just personally going back to a tournament when he was injured, I think he was at the pinnacle of where he had been. I thought he played phenomenal that tournament.
Yeah.
So then you have an injury, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I hope you're able to come back from this in a week or 2 or 3, and then next thing you hear, you miss your entire junior year if you put so much work in, and you, for us on the outside, you look and say, that's sad the kid's missing his year. Well, that's a year of his life. You only get so many times to play this game, and you work so hard, prepare so hard, and then to have a complete season taken away, it's devastating, and it's really tough to come back from mentally, especially for a young kid who's done it twice, and just to see the work that he's put in, the consistency of that work, it just makes your heart feel good, just that he's able to get back on the field, period, there. You just see him on the field, you're like, this is a good story, and then to see him have a really good night again, it much like the answer to the quarterbacks, though. If you watched what he does, it's like, he would have done that. He's just, not because of ability, but he has great ability, but just the way he works. He's just every single day, that same mentality, that same approach, that same attack to preparing and taking care of his body, and it was just really good to see.
So next week, Cedar Hill.
Yes.
Again, you're back-to-back on those guys. And so what are your expectations going into this one?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of Cedar Hill yet, just kind of rumblings. I think that this is a really good football team we're about to face. I think that, I think they feel they're much improved. It seems that the word on the streets is that they're a much improved football team. I think their D-line is going to be really, really good. But outside of that, I think that, what I would expect would be a really good Friday night football game in the state of Texas. On our part, it doesn't matter, again, if it's Midland Lee or whoever you're playing is, our approach is going to be the exact same as continue to dissect and attack the areas that we're not doing great and we need to improve upon, but then continue to find a way to maximize the things we do well. So, you certainly scheme tweaks week to week based on the scheme of the opponent you're facing, but really it's just a race within us to find a way to get a little bit better by the next Friday night each and every week. So what I expect is our football team to have a great weekend, take care of themselves this weekend, and put another great week of work together and show up on Friday night and do everything they can to make Allen Eagle football proud.
Awesome. Well, speaking of improving, we're going to give you the opportunity as we go through Pick'em this year to improve on your last year. Although, I will say that you and I and Chris actually tied last year. And Hargis brought up the rear, so, yeah.
Not shocking, yeah.
So here we go with year 2 of this, and this is a great weekend of football, as you know.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And we'll just start with the big one up in Columbus, Texas and Ohio State.
Man. When you get to the start of a football season, like you talked about expectations of ours and the wonder, it's really hard to know how teams are going to be before you start. You're really basing it on the name, the logo on their helmet, and but in this day and age of transfer portal and all that stuff, what teams are they? I think that everybody in the world would say that Texas is the most talented team this year, and they should win every game. But then you turn right back around and say it's hard to win in Ohio State. So I don't know. I think it would be a really, really, really big loss, and it doesn't make sense because you don't lose. Ohio State doesn't lose at home, but I think this would be a big loss for Texas, and I think that they don't do it. I think they find a way to win the game. But I do think that if Ohio State wins, this is, it's a bigger loss for Texas than it is for Ohio State, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a good one, and kudos to Nato Mosolo, who's going to start at left guard, and I saw where Zena is now second on the depth chart. Of course, he's backing up Colin Simmons, which is,
it's a big role.
The next Micah Parsons probably, but yeah. LSU goes to Clemson.
I lost you there for a second.
LSU goes to Clemson.
Yep. Yeah. Another one, I've got to go with Clemson at home on this one, but I don't know. I don't feel great about it for the same reasons, and I do think that, both athletics a little more, a little further ahead at this point, maybe.
Okay. This one should be easy, but it's going to be a different FSU team. Alabama travels to Tallahassee to play FSU.
Yeah, it should be easy, you would think, but growing up a big Florida State fan, I think this is a big game for Florida State too. I do, but I've got to think Alabama's going to win the game.
Okay. Virginia Tech goes to South Carolina.
Yeah, I couldn't even think anything about those two teams right now, so I will go with home team, South Carolina.
All right, and then tomorrow night we have Catholics versus Convicts, version number, 10, 12, whatever. Notre Dame at Miami.
Yeah. Same. I won't think about what's going on with those two teams. I wish I knew more about who the quarterbacks were and how long they played. I will go with. Good about this one at all. I'm gonna. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I will go with Miami. Yeah.
Awesome.
Got it. All right, you're getting in the dead zone, so we appreciate your time. We look forward to next week, and congratulations again on a 1-0 start.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right,
You too.
thanks,
All right, wreck 'em.
Rack 'em.
I want to say something about him molesting the head of the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's the word I
If the reception had stayed up,
Yeah.
we would have gotten to it.
Are you going to be aggressive with the Eagle each week?
How much do you think
Rub
that added to your
a little
win?
bit of the paint off the head.
I don't know, now that it's worked once.
Yeah.
You know, you need to get some flesh color paint and just fix that top of that thing.
Balding eagle.
Oh, man. Sorry about that, guy. You choked me up.
It's emotional.
It was emotional. 513 total yards of offense.
It's pretty impressive.
I wish I had more time. I wanted to go back and see what they did last year, but it was, again, we go by Comnock's analysis, and he talks to the coaches and everything, and that team was supposed to be better, and I just didn't see it.
I didn't see it at all.
I didn't either.
Offensively, especially that 38, they had that linebacker was in on every play.
It was pretty dominating. And
poor Ian had to pronounce
Oh,
his
but
name.
he was like the sixth guy to the ball after 5 missed tackles.
That is true, but he was there. But offensively,
well, I was expecting a little bit better game from their defense and putting more pressure on our quarterbacks. And I think the rollouts and the scrambles and buying time was really good on our quarterbacks part. So hard to tell. Was it them not performing so good, or was it us really overperforming?
That's a good question there. I think we played very, very well, but I don't think they were what they were hyped up to be.
time will tell. And it may be like last year they play a brutal non-district schedule.
Yeah.
They got Trinity on there. They got either Lake Travis or West
And
Lake,
improving
I don't know which one.
a good Trinity team this year.
Yeah. And it's hard to tell. They did make the playoffs last year out of that district, but I don't know if they went 1 or 2 rounds. But they didn't go very deep. And it's
61 or 62 to nothing last year.
61 to nothing.
Yeah.
So they did finally score. So good for that. But
against our third string.
Like I told Wig, they had 6 total yards and no first downs with 1:48 left in the first half. And you look at that and you go, you ain't gonna win many football games if that's what you're doing.
Well, they don't have very good special teams either. No kicker, no punter,
and no long snapper either.
I think the quarterback kicked the ball further and more often.
Yeah, they did that quick kick a couple times, at least twice.
He gave himself away when he kept backing up, to take a snap.
It was
he's punting it.
It was about as ugly an offensive first half as you can have
for Midland. Yeah,
for them. Yeah, and when you look at them, there was so many questions, at least in our mind, and it was the same thing we said. And I'm glad he brought it up.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to. Quarterback position in your offensive line. You had 3 new starters on the offensive line, 2 brand new quarterbacks, not only from, well, I guess JD had experience at the varsity level, but not in Allen.
Right.
So not only were they relatively inexperienced as far as playing time at the varsity level, they weren't in Allen. Like he said, you got a 1 month and a 5 month.
And from our experience, you get a sense, and coaches see the same thing we do from 7-on-7. There were some issues, whether it's timing, just decision making. Maybe we got lucky this week. We'll see next week. It's just, it takes 2 points to make a line, so we'll see where that line is trending, if it's up or what.
Could have a V8.
He's making me think.
All this math
Well,
on
it's like
Saturday
that.
morning.
Yeah, stop it. It's just too much for us, for our simple minds. But it was very, like I loved his answer on the onside kick. That was awesome.
yeah.
Oh, that was.
It was the Pee Wee Herman defense.
Yeah.
I meant to do that.
Wait a minute, what?
For a minute, I was like, oh, wait, he's kidding.
He's got jokes.
I've been scammed by a kindergartner.
Which is funny because I grabbed him in the locker room last night and I said,
What?
What? Yeah, I did. I grabbed him. I grabbed him in the locker room. See what goes on in high school locker rooms.
That's what she said.
And I was like, hey. I said, what was your emotion like after the onside kick? And he goes, it's part of the game. And I was like, he started walking away. I'm like, you're lying to me. Sure enough, he was. But,
Well,
go ahead.
That was ballsy of them to come out and do it, and then they got it.
Yeah.
And then the defense just, I think, set the tone for the game right there, where they just shut them down right there and made a punt.
I think you are spot on. But again, you start right there. There's a teaching moment on the first play of the season.
That's a mistake that those guys will not make again.
Yeah.
No.
Well, just like last year when they kicked off to us deep.
Yeah.
and Don LG ran it all the way back for a touchdown, they had a teaching moment, okay?
I'm not going to do that again.
We're not going to kick it deep. And it worked for them. But yeah, that's, the up backs need to know you don't have to wait.
Yeah,
you
you don't have to go slobber knock somebody or go get balls.
7.
And it was going so slow.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't have been a big deal to hop on it.
Yeah, congratulations to special teams for Midland, because that was a really good onside kick.
And that was their one good play.
That was obviously a mistake. There's no way he practiced that all his life.
Oh, my God.
The blind squirrel move, yeah.
But I think Cody's right. The defense came out, and they went 3 and out. They had a 0 rush and 2 incomplete passes. And then they had the punt that went backwards 13 yards.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so we didn't get the opening kickoff, and then
No problem.
first play from scrimmage. And I had talked to Carter Harris Thursday night at the Meta Connections deal, and I said, "You ready?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "The first play is going to be a long pass to me." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah."
If the defense sets up right.
If they set up right, that's what it's going to be.
It could have been set up even better.
Holy moly!
20 yards wide open.
I hear thunder.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
We got about half an hour, so let's get her going.
So they take over at the 36 in the first play. He drops back, and I saw the safety bite immediately.
Yeah.
Carter ran kind of a post.
Bit down, yeah.
And I was like, I just stood up, raised my hands, and I said, "He's open!" Which is why I'm
And
talking
he
about
hit
him
him.
today.
And he hit him.
And you're like, well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to start a game, because you get a defensive stop on a really bad play on your special teams, and then you score on the first play. It gets the fans into it. The team is so hyped up. And JD himself had to be, I'm thinking, sigh of relief. Things
Right.
went well.
Right.
Because, and I talked to him, I sent him a text this morning. I said, there's a lot of pressure being a quarterback at Allen. Because the expectations here are so stinking high. They'll never go away. And for you to move in, from a neighboring school
Yeah.
and to win the job, and then you really you're the leader of the team. You have to perform, and for that to be your first play, kudos to the
That's
kid.
a confidence builder,
Yeah.
and he built on it.
And I told Coach, I don't know when he had his first incompletion, because he ended up the night. Oh, that's just messed up. 20 of 25, 80%, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and really no passes. You go, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
There were a couple of drops.
He threw it away a little bit,
when
which
he needed to.
appropriate.
And you're like, that's a great first game for you.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about there wasn't a whole lot of pressure on the quarterbacks on that.
No.
The offensive line, for what it was.
Yeah, they did some controlled rollouts and a little bit of scrambling, but all in all, heads up scrambling, got it to the receivers, 80%, and then I don't know. You want to talk about Ty right now?
Well, let's talk about 2 things. Well, first of all,
Yeah.
the releases on both of these quarterbacks, and I'm sure everybody noticed it.
Quick.
Quick, short release.
Get the ball out, and when you can get the ball out that quick,
Mm-hmm.
and you get it in the hands of your playmakers. That's what I saw last night. I saw Wig trying to get the ball to his playmakers as quickly as possible.
Yes. And we had more bubble screens than we're normally comfortable with. But for the most part, they were in the hands quick. And then it was all up to the blocking, downfield blocking.
Start calling them BS plays.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There were some creative twists on the bubble screens we hadn't seen in a while, like sending somebody in motion, having them block out of that motion, and, some actually different stuff as opposed to just your classic.
And you can even call it like swing passes. I mean, there are all sorts of different names that you could use, but they were executing relatively smoothly.
And a good comparison to that is if you remember Midland Legacy's first play of the game was a bubble screen to the side, and Trey Roberson
Blew up.
cream that guy. That's the way you play defense.
You could block within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
Bam!
it was
it's
just
no
unbelievable.
hesitation.
Like,
yeah.
okay, fine.
Man, he read that dog perfectly.
He did.
When if nothing, and now also the other thing that they spread in there was the little what was it, like a tunnel screen type of play, crossing, And I think the bubble screen really opens up for that play because that's going to be a killer when you're coming inside and crossing and get the ball to him. And
Yeah.
we saw that a lot with Kyler and going to Carter, and that was a money play, and I think it's going to be that way for this team too. We'll see if Cedar Hill keys off of that and tries to really blow up those bubble screens and how our offense adjusts. So that's going to be interesting.
I just went down the list here, and Dowd started 9 for 10. So his first 9 passes were completions.
Very solid start.
Yeah.
Really happy to see that and to build some confidence, because even though he's a big-time player, he's a freshman, and he's coming in, new situation, probably the biggest audience he's played in front of.
Dowd.
Yeah.
Brain fart there. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. We'll edit that out so James doesn't look. Yeah, well, we're getting to him because Dowd played the first 2 series. They go up 14-0, and again the defense is shutting Midland down. They take over on the 20-yard line on their 3rd series. Snell comes in.
Right.
Ty Snell, for those of you who don't know, freshman who'd been here a month.
Yep.
As the week said. And the first play couldn't have been scripted any better for the kid and for Jet.
Yeah.
80-yard touchdown pass to Jet. Once he caught it,
Gone.
And the pass was on a rope. It was perfect. It was just like, that's how you draw it up. And for him coming into this situation too, because not by his own fault, the kid's got a lot of hype. And there's a lot of expectations for him when you walk in with however many, Power 4 offers he's got, 12, 14, 15, whatever it is, including Ohio State, Tennessee.
Yeah.
When you're playing varsity as an 8th grader.
Yeah. There's an expectation that you're going to perform.
Yeah.
And for that to be your first play, I mean...
Well, that's also nice where let me get the correct quarterback here.
Yeah.
Where J.D. Dowd really kind of created an umbrella for him to play under.
Yep.
And there's no pressure. It's like, okay, if Dowd had struggled and then he comes in, whether he struggles or does good, then there's a lot of doubt sown, and I don't think we had that at all.
Yeah.
That's a good hierarchy now.
So Allen goes up 21-0. It's one of those situations where the next kickoff, Lee kind of does a little payback, does the onside kick, then Allen recovers. You're like, okay, that was fun. Snell goes back out there, and they get down to the 12, 13, 14-yard line. They go 4-on-4 down, and they do a little pitch pass to Jet that doesn't get the first down. But, again, you're driving the ball. You could have kicked a field goal there, been fine. But this early in the season, go for it and see what happens. Next series, Dowd comes back in. And a kid that we saw quite a bit, 7-on-7, Samaje Johnson, number 18, got a lot of playing time last night.
It's good to see it.
At 4th down on the Midland League 36, Dowd hits him. He busts through the seam. And the one thing this team has a lot of at the receiver position is speed. A lot of speed between Carter Harris, who runs a 4.4, which you wouldn't believe. Jet's an all-star track runner. Josiah Johnson can clearly fly. And then Samaje. You see this going on, and you're like, holy moly. There's a lot of speed on this team. And they get in the open field, it's church. They go up 28-0, and you can call church at that point because with the way the defense is playing, you're just like, this team's not coming back. So ends up being a 46-13 rout. I'm just going to call it that because it was, the 13 points came against
Backups.
Backups.
Yeah.
Way down the food chain there. And Allen runs away with it for the 2nd year in a row against this team. So Cedar Hill's up next.
I can see why they're changing their name. They're so embarrassed by it.
I'm glad you brought that back up. Coach said Midland Lee. He said Legacy the first time, and then he went Lee. The Dallas Morning News they said they put the score and it says Midland Legacy. Right under Midland Legacy, it says Midland League.
Yeah.
It's a given. It's a given. It's
already been approved.
And our smaller scoreboard had Lee on it.
Oh, did it really?
The announcer said Lee at one point.
Well, and even as they go through the play-by-play, it says the first play, onside kick recovered by Midland League.
Yeah.
They'll do the play-by-play, so given they're changing their name back, that is...
Well, and there was some talk on some national college board or whatever about protesters and all that stuff. There was nothing materialized.
Yeah, Jet ended up with 11 catches last night.
That was nice. Yeah.
He had 11. Carter Harris had 3. Samanje had 4. Josiah had 5. And then some other people had some too. But it's just we haven't talked about our defensive player of the game yet. And he flashed early and often, which is why he got it from us.
Yeah, Mitchison, man.
Katie Mitchison, number 28. He was everywhere and violent.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting where we sit, you don't see the size of these kids, and we never met him, hadn't heard his name or anything before. He's one of these kids that he's a senior defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
And you get out.
He's relatively tall. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
You get up to him in the locker room, and you're like, oh. Hello.
You're a big boy.
Yeah, you're bigger than I thought you were. And he brought the lumber last night.
He did.
And it was fun to watch. And Katie, congrats to you.
Yeah.
You got the first
defensive player of the game. Yeah.
Maggot of the year.
Coveted Maggot. Yeah.
It's funny because it's kind of like when we talk to the basketball guys about it. Sit and say, you don't believe those guys how competitive it is, and don't touch my magnets, and it's a big deal if you steal the magnets off their locker or whatever. But it was funny because we went in there and we put JD's up there. He was in the shower, and so we just stuck his magnet in there.
Yeah, we left that alone.
He was singing in the shower.
He was
singing.
We need to work on that American Idol voice. But we stuck it up high, and he didn't even know it was there. He came out afterwards.
We saw him before we left and told him, and he was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Yep.
Good job, guys.
Spriggs ran a lot last night too.
Oh my gosh,
Hammer, they both run very hard. None of them had the big long game breaker run.
Yeah, Spriggs and Hambrick both had 11 and 5.45 and 3.82 yards per carry. Not as much yards per carry as there were last year, but
they're putting a hurt on some of those defensive players. I mean, they were bulldozing.
Well, they were hitting hard.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be. What was that?
$250,000 that kid.
What was the Ohio State or Texas guy?
Ohio State.
No, they had the kicking contest on
game
day. Just won $250,000. So good for him.
It was a prettier kick than anything Midland did last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
God bless their hearts.
Nobody took his
Are we
back.
distracted? Where are we?
Cedar Hill up next. Who did they play last night? Cody looked it up. They did win last night. They were
Midlothian, 36-21.
Yeah, it was a close game at halftime, so they pulled away a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. They came in very hyped last year, and we smacked them pretty hard. So
Left a little bit less hyped.
yeah, we'll see if that happens again this year. Next Friday at Eagle Stadium. Alan, glad to have you in the house.
Thank you.
Alan comes in and for his
Everything's right with the world.
Customary first game of the year.
Yeah.
Goat herder.
Not anymore, man. He heard it all and goes right out of his farm.
Yeah, they're all in Arkansas now.
Yeah, he's a chicken farmer now. No, he's not a chicken farmer. You're an egg farmer.
Egg farmer.
You don't harvest chickens. You harvest eggs.
Right.
Yeah. What else? That's it. That's the only varmints that you have.
That's it.
Dogs.
2 Pyrenees dogs.
Yeah.
So,
All right. There it is. That's all he's got.
however, there was something.
Oh gosh.
There was something.
Don't look at him.
There was something that occurred
Oh boy.
that I feel that I should air with those many, many thousands of fans.
They're listening.
After we moved to Kansas, Jenna left me for a guy that had a huge combine down the road. And so I was left alone at the house with the chickens and the goats.
Jana being his wife, for those who don't know.
Yeah. Which will explain why I was so angry with the goats and had to castrate the goats. But anyway, there was a neighbor named Lorraine that was there, and she took an interest in me, but it wasn't reciprocated. But she was just always around, always brought me casseroles and plates of corn and
Apple
stuff.
pie,
Some Chevrolet.
The heartland of America.
Heartland, and she was just always around. But then I became interested in a young lady named Claire Lee,
From Albania?
and
That's random.
but time has gone by, and I think that Lorraine had realized, that she couldn't have all this, and
couldn't have or couldn't handle.
Yes. But the good news, guys, is that I can see clearly now Lorraine is gone.
Oh my goodness.
What was that?
I can sing it for you, but I won't. And so I just thought I'd share that with you because it's a very emotional thing.
Oh my gosh. I can see.
We are so sorry, Jana.
Lorraine is
We are
gone.
so sorry for you.
I don't think she listens to this.
No, I can promise you
I
she
know
doesn't.
she doesn't.
This is a great example of what happens when you spend half of your life at 35,000 feet.
Low oxygen.
Or handling chicken eggs,
Low
yeah.
oxygen.
Speaking, where you headed today?
Madrid.
Madrid, Spain.
They keep him in the cargo hold.
España.
So if any of you ever fly American Airlines to Madrid, Spain, look for Mr.
God help
Alvin
you.
Wright.
You won't be on time.
Yeah, you won't be on time, but you will have entertainment all the way. So there you go. He's got lots more of those jokes.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate you listening. Again, for those of you who are new to this, you can catch us on YouTube. We're back on Spotify. We're on Spotify.
On Spotify, yeah.
We had several listeners last week. Jump on that platform.
Look for the links down below.
They'll be there. And if anybody have anything else, hook them.
Hit that bell. Hit subscribe. Let's go.
Please subscribe. That's always
LFG Eagles.
Come on, let's
Are we
and get
monetized?
we're getting there. We're gonna try. Wouldn't that be awesome?
This could lead to great things.
We could make enough to buy some soda.
If we can get over 50 views on these guys,
Oh, please.
we get about 3 cents a view.
Fantastic. Take it. Any money you don't have that comes in your door is money you do. So
Exactly.
there you go.
And so for all you people that bought tickets to the Wiping Out Kids Cancer game, thank you. That it goes to a very worthy cause. What did we hear about the other Wipe Out Kids Cancer game?
Don Bosco came back from a 10-0 halftime deficit
14-10.
to beat Melissa.
To embarrass Melissa horribly.
yeah, that's terrible.
You know,
You had it in the basket.
All that money for a new stadium and just
but
obviously not the crown jewel.
speaking of just FYI,
Rumble.
Rumble.
Yeah, keep going.
District
speaking.
play. Everybody but McKinney, and surprisingly, Plano East won last night in district. Plano East, and I sent Professor Diggs a message.
Plano East?
Yeah.
One?
No.
Everybody but
Lost.
But
Oh, okay. One.
McKinney
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Plano
yeah.
East.
Yeah.
McKinney lost to
the
Frisco
perennial
Emerson.
winners.
Emerson?
Plano East took it on the chin from Royce City.
Yeah.
42-14, and I'm sure Professor Diggs is still in mourning this morning. But I sent him a note. And I said, "Sorry, buddy." I was like, he did a tweet last night on his dump and said, this may be overreaction, but they can either go 6-4 or 0-10. So he must have seen something that he didn't like with that team that he wasn't expecting last night. So Prosper pulled the upset over Austin Westlake, which was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
But it's still early in the season. End of the season, it's not going to be the same teams.
Doesn't matter.
And then also, our buddies out in Forney pulled off a really tight win.
Flair, if you're listening, get some defense.
Yeah, 37-34, I think it was.
Not his specialty.
Yeah. Dude, come on. You guys just step up. You know, they went down 7-0 on that game, and they got the halftime lead, and they just held on. But I'm like, dude, that was their problem last year.
Too much of a nail biter.
You got to play some defense.
You know, those small East Texas towns, it's hard to kind of get
Small,
a full
and you've
roster.
been to Forney lately.
Oh, I know. And North Forney's supposed to be a juggernaut this year.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That coach.
Yeah. So, folks, we appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next week. Tailgate starts at 2 next week, not an all-day thing.
That's right. So don't come out for breakfast tacos.
Yeah, say hello. Love to talk to you. And until next time, anybody got anything else? Then
Say less.
it's over, and we are out.